Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we have another video for you. A video about objective looks tier lists for some of the RotMG community members. The reason why this is objective is it's moderated by yours truly. Second of all is because we had a lot of votings that happened between the 50 members on who's put where and why are they put there, and we've gone into extreme lengths of discussions on why everyone's placed everywhere they are. So let's just start off with the tier list immediately, Shabab. First of all, we have AZ. AZ is a very good looking woman, girl. I don't know which one to use صراحة. But they don't qualify for S tier because the tiers have been caveated. So as you can see in S tier, I have them, or they would fanboys with me, or have fanboys with me. A tier looks good in terms of their body and face. B tier is average looking guys and girls, yeah. And then C tier is below average in only one area. It might be their looks or their body. And D tier is below average in more than one area. And this tier list is also influenced by how much you pull. So some guys might look good, or some girls might look good, but they have like they cannot pull shit. Like their game is very weak. Like they might be autistic. I don't know if that means they can't pull or not, or they might be just stupid يعني and retarded. But anyways, let's get directly to the tier list الحين. AZ, she looks good enough to get on A tier. If AZ only accepted the 10k, يعني that's all I'm saying, should be an S tier. Okay, so going to Auto. Auto's, I think his BMI is what, 32? It's not because he's يعني a swole power lifter or whatever. No, it's because he's fat as and there are no redeeming qualities about Auto. How can you be fat and play around? Like, just go out and walk, ya akhi. There are some people who are fat and they also pull. Auto does not pull shit, so we'll have to put him directly in D tier. And then we have Mr. Avor. Mr. Avor, if some of you guys have heard him speak, to have the pleasure of hearing Avor in VC, the pleasure of understanding how schizophrenic people can get, then you would truly understand that he deserves S tier. But Avor looks kind of, yani, he's kind of like, he's an ugly Brazilian. He's fat. We can't put him in D because he has pulled so many lady boys and so many trans women that it's actually unreal. Like, he goes out on a fucking Wednesday on 3 p.m. and he just pulls like 3 lady boys. It's genuinely insane. But his looks are kind of holding him back. So we'll have to put Avor in C tier. And then we have Mr. Budding Romance. Or should I say Mrs. Budding Romance when he's in bed. Budding Romance is the resident femboy of 50. Like, all the rich guys in 50 have gone and have taken a few turns with him. Me included, you know. He's gotten by me in alls. And I think that might have spoiled one of the future rankings for the members on tier list. But yeah. Amazing rat. Again. And then we have Cameo. Cameo is like شوية in between. He's in between being a femboy or becoming a gym rat, which is a very weird place to stand on. And for that, we can't give him an objective because, like, if I would him, then that would mean he's a femboy. He's not fully into that, or he's not fully tuned in. And for me to remain straight, I have to only femboys. So we'll have to give him the A tier. And then we have Mr. Daki Kaki. Everyone knows this guy. Everyone has his extremist opinions on Daki. But this is an objective looks-based tier list. And Daki is, يعني, he's young. All the other guys on the list are like older, relative to him. He's like 17. Sorry, not 17, he's 18. He doesn't have proper muscle maturity. يعني, doesn't groom properly, doesn't have a good wardrobe, does not take care of his skin or his body. So for that, we'll have to put him in the C tier, below Avor, because Daki does not pull bitches. Or ladyboys. And then we have Mr. I'm Not There, also known as Healer Hexadecane. Mr. I'm Not There is a very strong man And by strong, I mean very mentally strong. Because if someone can do 20 hours of RotMeg orders, then you know you have a proper man at hand. Healer is very extremist in what he chooses. He has not pulled anything yet, because it's haram, obviously. But in terms of looks, compared to the guys on the list, we have to give him an 80, to be honest. And going over to Nadim. Nadim immediately goes to S tier based on the caveats that we've provided. It only took like an Overwatch game and a plane ticket, and خلاص, he was sold. He was completely sold. So it's great to know that such people in the RotMG community exists like this. And then we have NY. NY is an average looking guy. Well, not average, he's above average looking. But his body doesn't allow him to go into A tier. If he worked a bit more on his body, then he'd definitely be an A tier. But based on looks alone, he'd be here, but based on his body, then he'd be in B tier. So place him in B tier, the middle of the line. And then we have Mr. Ols. Mr. Ols is a very great man, one of the RotMG co-founders. He got banned because I tipped Deca off. And this is the video that me coming out and telling that, hey, Ols, I'm sorry, yani. I didn't mean to do it. It was my fault. I accidentally put your name in when I wanted to put Panic's name in. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Ols, he's spit roasted budding with me. So he immediately goes into this tier. No need to talk about his look or anything. Although he's a very well built man. And then we have Panic. Panic has gone on record in VC multiple times about how he wants to get blacked by men. Yeah, there's no comment on that. It's all open to whatever interpretation you'd like to take it as. Panic was pretty cheap as well. He was only $200. And for the $200, you get a good price on the goods that you're purchasing. Would recommend if anyone would like to buy him again, or if it's your first time going with him. And then we have Mr. Fabe. Fabe used to be like Nadim and Panicle and these guys before, like a cheap, but then he has elevated, and that took him down a peg on the tier list. Fabe is fairly well built for his age in terms of muscle. Unfortunately, he's German. But going away from that, we'll just put him in the A tier now, compared to the other guys on the list. And now we have Princess, the first woman on the tier list. Or sorry, the second woman on the tier list. I cannot rate woman because I'll have my cock chopped off and my balls dipped into a frying pan. So I've asked other people from the 50 guild to help me with this one, and they all unanimously gave her an 8. Skis is a very average looking guy. He's a very hard worker. Skis like the middle of the line Polish man. He's a very hard worker. Scams people online 10 hours a day. Chases women 6 hours at night. And he looks good enough. He hasn't been on his looks maxing, I think that's what it's called. And he hasn't been weightlifting. And they have Mr. Subserver. Mr. Subserver and I have spit roasted multiple fanboys together. He's a very enjoyable man to be around. Very great comrade at that. So he goes in the S tier. Mr. XX Tentacion, one of the 50 guild members. Mr. XX looks well enough for a man, but I think he's the type of straight man who does not fuck fanboys. So I have to put him in the A tier. I don't know, there are some straight people such as myself who would give it to fanboys or have given it. But some people are not in tune with it. We have UG. UG is the PayPal doubling king. You send this guy any amount of money on PayPal, and he's gonna double it. So please, tap in. If that doesn't give him a steal, I will double it. Other than him looking very fabulous, he's very good, he has a proper mustache. Please guys, just and you know this shit is legit coming from a RotMG player. Mr. UG is an S tier. We then have Bubble. If I say anything, Bubble is gonna kill me. So we'll just put him in S tier. Then we have Mrs. Bungo, Banango, Rev, Sky, Burp. Whatever Bungo goes by nowadays. I'm too used to calling Bungo Bungo. Bungo has gone, as they call it, glow up, I think. Yeah, glow up. And they look good enough now. They look very well for what they've been aiming for, and they reached their goals, you could say. So we'd have to put them in A tier. I have Mr. Dara. Dara, a very beautiful man, very beautiful European man, very well built, beautiful Goldilocks beard, fair complexion, and he is also smart, unlike many of the people on this list who do RotMeg as a living. So Dara will have to go into the A tier, يعني, to be honest. And then we have myself. I cannot rate myself because that would be hypocritical. So I've asked many people on where they'd place me. And I've sent them the pics and all of that. And if anyone would like the receipts, please DM buddingromance on Discord and tell him to send you the sex tape of me and him. But other than the sex tape, I've gotten a unanimous agreement on being in A tier, you could say. And this isn't coming from me. I would personally put myself in S tier because I have fanboys, and fanboys the other guys in S tier. But you know, we have to come into terms with reality. And then we have Mr. Zip. Zip is a well-built, good-looking man. There's not much to say about him, other than that. He's also a great guy as well. Then we have Rare. Rare is يعني to say... There's not much to say about Rare. He has the, the usual Middle Eastern look, but at the same time he's a twig. That means he's below average in one area. It's not like we can call him, average, because it's a twig build. Like, my forearms are bigger than Rose's thighs, which is شوية alarming. Like, if you guys would like to double your money with Og's Cash App, the official sponsor of this video, in the link in the description, and then send it to Rare so you can buy some more food, that would be great. So Rare goes in the C tier for now. And then we have Ray Delflo. I caught you off guard. There's a Rare, now there's a Ray Delflo. Ray is a very well-built man. I have told him, hey, $500. He said no, 600. And then I was like, sorry, I'm not paying 600 guy. I'd pay 600 fanboy, but not a guy. So he has proper muscle maturity. He has been on his looks maxing. So we got to put him in A tier. Yeah, and it's kind of alarming how so many people are high on the tier list. It's almost like the only people associated with the 50 guild and RotMeg are like people who look good. The newer additions to the guild are like they've been tapering off because we haven't been sticking to our strict requirements. Like you needed to send a picture of your asshole, you needed to send a picture of you hacking, you needed to send a pic of your face, you were reciting Islamic Shahada, you with pump and lighting, and then without pump and no lighting when you just woke up. And those were like the requirements to get into 15, but because of budding, it's fallen off lately. That's why there are some people lower on the tier list. But to break that sour mood, we're rating Mr. Tadis. Mr. Tadis is a very beautiful man. He's very wholesome, one of the nicest people you will be around. Easy A tier. And then we have X Bino. As I told you, the tier list is based on objectiveness. So when we look at Mr. Bino's canthil tilt, or his face asymmetries, his thin posture, his, we don't want to go on. You can't just grill a guy like that. That's not proper. But based on the information that I provided, Mr. Bino will go in D tier. Then we have Mr. Major. Mr. Major is one of the only smart Polish people I've ever met. Because he says that the Polish people are... Have you ever met a Polish person that will admit that? And then say that they aren't as well? Like, you'll ask Budding, are the Polish people... He'll say, yeah, they are, except for me. And other people that I know who are Polish. So it's hypocritical. Mr. Major is a very good looking man, so we'll put him in the A tier. And then we have Orba. Actually, Major goes to B tier. He's not as good looking as the guys in A tier. And then we have Mr. Orba. Orba is fairly well built. He's tall, but his looks aren't to the quality or up to the level that you'd expect from the guys in A tier. So we just had to put him in B tier. And then we have Mr. Yuri. Yuri is RotMeg, Olaf Games, as many people know him. RotMeg icon. يعني one of the most well-known people out there. If you have him in your run, please kick him, please. I'll pay you money. Send me a screenshot of you kicking all of games from your run, and I'll PayPal you $10 within 6 to 14 business days. But yeah, Yuri's a fat shit. He's bald. He's receding hairline. He's egg-headed. So just detail. Yeah, I don't want to grill Yuri anymore. Mr. Brian. Brian is يعني I can't really say much about Brian other than he's just not up to par. So we'll just put him in C here. And then Karki. Karki is also one of the 50 previous fanboys. He has now left 50 and is now pursuing a professional career in Osu, along with other people. But with that, we'll just put Karki in 8 here, because he's a fanboy. And then we have Mancha. Mancha, يعني, to say the least, he's Hispanic. A Hispanic Asian. Okay, going on. Also, he owns Maxaf, يعني, like, what the fuck to Maxaf, huh? You f***ed it up, man. You really f***ed it up. You deserve the C tier ranking. But you know, Mancha, very great human being. A great person to talk to. He's a good conversationalist as well. And unlike the other people in the RotMG community, he actually has a college education. So for all the intellectuals out there who like to join VC and talk about advanced stuff and like things that children would not understand, you gotta have a conversation, man. But looks wise, يعني, I don't know what to tell you, akhi. And then you have Diana. Some of you guys will know who she is based on the profile. Diana is not that cheap. Well, Panic was يعني cross country, cross continent, cross 7 oceans, and he was only 200. Diana cannot be bought out. So unfortunately she doesn't go in the S tier. But she goes in the A tier. Then we have Mr. Rolo. Mr. Rolo, a very fairly well-built man, has done his fair share of weightlifting, understands what it means to have a physique. Unlike me, I just have a dad bod with, you know, huge, very out of proportion. Has studied the symmetries. So we got to put him there here. And then we have Mr. Fumes. I am not the person who added the Fumes to the tier list. I was forced to add Fumes by Budding. Budding said that if you don't add Fumes to the tier list, he'll stop sucking my dick under my desk. And first of all, يعني, I hit him when he said that because he does not have the right to threaten me. But then I'm like, okay, I'll do it for you. So Fumes, based on the people who he got really friendly with, Budding asked them, and they said that they allowed Fumes to get friendly with them because he was like a good solid 8 out of 10, which lands him the 8 tier on the list. And then we have Feet. Feet, the other people in the guild have rated for it because, as I said, I cannot rate women along with the other women on the list. I'm just not saying it for each one of them because it's going to get redundant. And Avor has given Feet a S+. He said, please make S+ ranking. I'm like, we cannot do that. And he said, no, if you don't do it, then I'm not going to multi-box on your account. And I'm like, fuck. So I was in a dilemma. And the dilemma allowed me to answer that, you Avor, I don't care about you multi-boxing my account. Feet would go in S tier based on what the guildie said, but based on the caveats in the tier list, she cannot enter there. So yeah, this is the final objective tier list for looks for some of the members in the RotMG community. If you see yourself in a position that you do not agree with, please inform me or write it in the comments down below. Budding will respond to you in like 4 to 12 business hours. And he'll give you a detailed response with the isographics of why you are rated the way you are. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. It was great to have you guys along. I know that some of you enjoy the videos that I make, and I'm happy that I have people who enjoy my very shitty content. It's always great to have you along, and see you later.